everybody, it's Kathy Champion and welcome to Random Acts of Crafting. I am thinking of doing something today a little bit different, but you know how we all have our scraps and we always wonder what we can do with them, and we also wonder how we can come about making different types of card fronts. And you've probably seen some other crafters do this, but I save my strips, whether it's the branding strip or little small strips that I may cut off of different types of paper. And I'm going to show you today how you can use these to make card fronts. Sorry for the noise. I buy these 2-gallon Ziploc bags. They make great project bags. And I'll keep stuff like this in them just to kind of keep myself organized. But as you can see, I've got all of these strips, some different sizes and shapes, and we're going to see what we can do with these today in making a card front. Now, I do have a card, if I can find it, right off at the top. And I probably won't be able to put my fingers on it because I wanted to show it to you. But nevertheless, I'm going to just get busy and show you how to do this, and I think you'll be real pleased with the outcome. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to cut down what would be the bases of a card front before you, the mat for your card front. So normally our cards are 4 1/4, so we're going to mat this one at a 4-inch mat. So I'm cutting that at 4, and because this is 11-inch paper, we can actually get 2 out of here, because if it's 4, it's 5 1/2, so we need this to be 5 1/4. So our card bases are usually 5 1/2 by 4 1/4, so I'm cutting this down just 1/4 inch smaller, and that's going to be one card front, and then this one is going to be 5 1/4. And we're going to cut that down. Then we have this little piece of white that I don't know that we could use it for anything, but I'm going to lay it over here just in case. Now we have 2 of these to work with. And there's 2 techniques that I want to show you today to make a card front that will be very pretty and very functional. So what we're going to do is we're going to start taking these strips, and I'm going to get some of the smaller pieces, maybe like this one, and all you want to do is use your glue, and we're going to glue these on to the card in a diagonal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, using my art glitter glue, and do I want that side or this side? I really like both of those. So you know what I think I'm going to do? I'm going to cut this in half and be able to use it twice. But the shorter pieces you're going to have to use like in this area or this area, because you will not have enough if you do it different than that. So I'm going to cut this piece right there, and this will give us a piece that will go right over that little corner. So we're just going to glue these down, and I love this cardstock right here. This was Prima, and it was the Georgia Blue, which is just, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to put my little protector on my work surface, because I did put glue all the way over it, and wasn't sure exactly where I wanted to stick that down. So that's where I want it to be, and if I get glue I can easily wipe that off. So now I want to just grab a color that's a little different. So I'm going to use this red, and I'm going to come up and butt that right against it. And I'll tell you what I'm going to do this time. I'm going to use, since I have a guideline here, I'm going to use this as my guideline, and I'm going to put the glue actually on the mat rather than on my strip. That way I can use this excess strip on a different card at another time, because we won't cut it all off. So there, and make sure that it comes over and covers to the edge of the paper, because if it doesn't, you're going to have a gap there, and we don't want gaps. So we're just going to glue these down willy-nilly, just in whatever order that you want to. And this one's a little wider. It doesn't matter if they're wide or they're thin. We just want to make sure we're covering our card with our little strips of decorative paper. And I think these just turn out so pretty. I think they just cover our cards, and they make a really good focal point for the front of our cards. So I am going to come in maybe and get this piece. If you find that if it's not sticking and you might have to put a little glue under it, no big deal. Just raise up your edges and add a little bit extra glue and glue that down like so. And then we're going to put this one right here. And see, this looks like it needs to be pulled down just a hair. So we're going to butt that one up right there. I'm not real pleased with where that one went, so we're going to pull it down just a little bit, because remember, these are scraps, and these are pieces that we would normally just toss in the trash can. But I'm going to show you that if you have been throwing away your small strips of paper, don't do it anymore. Hang on to them. You know, throw them in a Ziploc bag, throw them in a little box or a bin, and hang on to them, because you can use them like this, and I think this makes such a statement on a card. Now, this piece looks like it does need to be trimmed down, and I want to trim that right above those tulips. So I'm going to bring my trimmer out, and I'm going to just put this into my trimmer about to there, and I'm going to sink that blade because this wants to wiggle on me, but we're going to sink the blade, go up and down, and that way I got a good cut on that. And this is going to be really cute on this card because it's going to live just like that and look like we have some tulips running all the way across our card. So cute. And I'm going to come down because that's a little wider strip, and I'm just going to add some more glue just like that. And then we're going to butt that right up to that one. And basically that's all you want to do is make sure it's butted up to the piece below. And let's see, that one's not going to work because it's not long enough, but I think this purple one will. Yep. So again, I'm just going to run some glue across like this. And then I'm just going to lay this down into my glue. And let's get a different looking piece. How about that one? Oh, that's pretty. I like that one. Okay, so let's, again, just putting down our glue. Now, if you've done this process before, leave a comment and let me know. And if you haven't, please be sure to, if you try this, I want to see your final product. So go over to our Facebook page, Random Acts of Crafting, and leave a picture of your project there. I always love to see what y'all make, so please be sure to go over there and share. It's always fun for me to go and look and see what everybody's doing. I have some people that are diligent with posting pictures on there, and I so appreciate you. So let's see, let's go this way. And I'm just gonna pat that down, and you can see we're gonna trim this all off. So once we finish and get this like it needs to be, I think you're gonna be really pleased with the outcome. Now that's a little wider piece, but that's okay. We're just gonna go a little wider here. Let's put that right there. And how about this piece? That looks cute. So now we're coming down to the finish. And as you can see, this doesn't take a long time to do if you've just saved your strips, and you can cut them all evenly if you want them to be even. You can leave them at different widths like I did and just glue them on, It really doesn't matter. It's your card, so do it your way. So then we're going to cover this little area like so. And then we got one little place right here that needs just a tiny smidgen, and I'm going to use that piece that I cut off up there right across here. So I'm going to put glue on that whole little tip right there, and I'm going to try to get that flower right there. Okay, so now we're going to lift this up off of our plastic that I did put it down on, so I didn't want to get glue on my actual work surface. So I'm going to grab my longer shears. You could put this in your paper trimmer and cut it off, but I don't want to take a chance of getting glue on my blade, so I'm going to use these Teflon scissors instead. So I'm just going to follow the card, and I'm going to cut these off like so. And see, there is a little glue oozing out right there, so if I hadn't have, if I had done this with my trimmer, I am pretty sure that I would have gotten glue on my blade, and I did not want glue there. So, and once we get this trimmed down, then you're going to see how pretty this looks. You really can't see the full effect of it until you trim it. And every time you make one of these, it's going to be different because you're going to use different colors and different strips of paper or cardstock. Yeah, see, we got a little glue on that, but I'll just wipe that off with a baby wipe and we should be good. Now look at that. Isn't that adorable? Now you can take, I think with that purple right there in the middle, I would actually use a lavender or a purple or maybe even a green and put a die cut on the front that you could actually stamp a sentiment on. And let's see, I think we got time to do that. So I'm going to move these little pieces back over into my stash. And let's move this out of our way. And let's see which sentiments do I have. I need die cuts over here. And I think we can probably do, since I have my circles over here, I think that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna see if we can find a piece of purple paper. And I do have my my scraps color coded over here. So let's see, that looks good. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna use this die, and this is the Frilly circles, and I'm gonna grab my Cuttle Bug. Again, if you don't have a Cuttle Bug, you could use a punch. You could use, you could draw a circle by putting down like a thing of ribbon like this and draw a circle. Never ever feel like that you can't make a card or something because you don't have the fancy tools. You can. I admit, because I love my tools, it's a whole lot more fun when you've got dies and things like that. For me it is. For some people maybe not. But I do love my tools, and I love my die cuts and my dies, and so I enjoy making the little frilly things to go on my card fronts. And I just love these dies. I think they cut so pretty. These Gina Marie dies are just wonderful to have. So let's move this out of our way, and we will go ahead and clean up this little die, get the little pieces out. Now I have this little brush that I got from Spellbinders, and it's great. See how quick it knocks out the little pieces. Now I did make a little bit of a mess here on my desk, but that's okay. Now I want to do a heat emboss, and we have not done heat emboss. I think the reason, I think a real pretty gold or a white frost would look so good on here with a sentiment. But I'm going to show you real quick how you can just pop this up on pop dots and have a sentiment on here. Put this on a card base, and you have an instant card that was scraps. This is stuff you were going to throw away. So I think that's just a great way to make a little card front. So let me get out the stuff that I need, and I'll be right back, and we're going to heat emboss a sentiment on here. Be right back. Okay, we're back, and I've gathered up all of my supplies that I need for heat embossing. since I've never did heat embossing on my channel, I am going to kind of walk you through this as though you've never heat embossed before, because I don't know who's watching who has maybe perhaps never done this. So what I use is, you're going to need your piece of paper that you're going to want to put your sentiment on. You're also going to need a stamp set. So let's get something, I've got some stamps right here. So let me get one that's got a simple little sentiment on it, like, let's see. I should have gotten this out too before I came back videoing, but I didn't. So I'm just going to look through here and find something cute. Let's see, let's just do a thank you, or maybe a happy birthday. Celebrate, that'd be a cute one. This is coming from Bill and Tracy's stamp sets from Mindless Crafting. So we're going to use that one that just says celebrate. That way this card could go for just about any type of occasion that you need a celebration. So what you're going to need is a stamp block. Of course, anytime we're stamping, we need a stamp block. So I'm going to line this up. This is the way I get my stamps lined up, so that I make sure that I get them even. And I use the grid lines on my stamp block to try to make sure that I am centered and on line, and that looks pretty good. You're going to need your VersaMark, which is a watermark stamp pad. It is clear, it looks like glue, but it's really a type of ink that embossing powder will stick to. So you're going to need that. You're going to need your little powder tool that takes the static out of your piece. So you're going to use this to get the static off of your piece so that this embossing powder only sticks where you want it to. Then you're going to need your embossing powder. Now I like the fine detail embossing powder because it melts much better than the chunky stuff. And this is Nuvo. I love just about everything that Nuvo makes. I have never been disappointed. So I would say it has a very good price point. So that's another reason to love Nuvo. A good product at a good price, you can't beat that. So anyway, and I use a coffee filter, and these were actually some, I picked up the wrong size for my husband's coffee pot, so I told him, I said, we're not going to take those back, I can use them in my craft room. So I brought these in here, and what I do is I hold my piece. I'll tell you what, without further ado, let's just start. You're also going to need a heat gun. This is a heating tool that's put out by Doris. There's a lot of different manufacturers that make these, but it feels like it's a blow dryer, but it does get a lot hotter than a blow dryer. So I don't think you can melt the embossing powder with a blow dryer, but you can try. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my VersaMark ink, and this is put out by the same people that do the VersaFine. And I'm going to ink this up, and even though it's going to look like I'm not really doing anything, this is like just a sticky ink. I don't know if you can see it glistening on that stamp, but it is. Oh, I almost forgot to use my powder tool, and I do that all the time. But it is an important step, so if you can at all possibly do this, I would say, and just rub it all over your area, because this embossing powder is going to go everywhere. So once I get that powdered down really good, and I've heard some people say that you can use cornstarch in a piece of nylon, like a stocking or something, tie it up, and it works. I've never used it. I've always had my little powder tool. And you can pick those up at any craft store. They're not very expensive at all. So now I am going to stamp this right in the center of this little die cut. And you can see that really good, so I think we got a really good stamp on that. So I'm going to cover my ink, and then I'm going to lay this inside this coffee filter. I'm just going to stand it up like that. And I'm going to take my embossing powder and I'm just going to pour this all over it. And it doesn't matter if you get too much of it out on it, because we're going to pour that back in here. And I usually go over it twice because I want to make sure that that comes out. Then I hold it to the back and I tap it just to throw off any of that excess embossing powder. That looks really pretty. So then what I do is I take this coffee filter, and this makes a nice little funnel for putting your embossing powder back into your bottle. So you can see there's very little waste when you use it like that. I do throw the coffee filter away because I may use a different color next time, and I don't want to cross-contaminate my embossing powders. So we're going to set that up there. Now, a rule of thumb, this gun is going to get hot, so if you have a pair of the little craft tweezers, I would definitely use them on this particular piece, because you don't want to burn your fingers. So what I would do at this point, turn your gun on. It does make a lot of noise. I'm going to kind of hold it away. You want to let your gun get good and hot before you put it to your paper. And I will show you in just a minute what I'm talking about. Okay, it feels like you want to run it about 30 seconds prior to putting it to your paper. That's a good rule of thumb. So now we're going to put it, and you're going to see this start to melt. See how it's changing color and it's getting really pretty and bright? And I usually go behind it as well. This kind of helps your paper from warping. And you don't want to leave it on there too long because it will burn it. And that looks perfect right there. So I have a special place under my table that I always lay my gun, and it's actually on metal, so that way I don't have to fear it being hot against something and melting something. But now we'll come back to our little card base, and we're ready to put this on. But like I said, I'm going to pop this up on some dimensional tape. And I think I'm going to use this Brutus Monroe because it does give me a little bit higher dimension. And we're going to run a piece across here. Now it's going to show under there, so I'm going to cut just a tiny edge off of that. And this tape is super, super sticky, as you can see. So let's put a piece right there. And I'm going to cut a couple more pieces to go across the middle here. And I think that will be plenty. Now I'm going to use my little tool here. These are from Nuvo also. And let's see. No, I think these are EK tools. I'm sorry. EK tools. I want to brag on EK tools because they give the best customer service. I don't know if y'all remember me telling you in one of my previous videos that one of my 2-inch punch from, it was this one right here, from EK Tools, jammed where it would not go together anymore. And I contacted EK Tools and I told them that I did not remember who I bought it from. It had been almost a year, but it stopped working, and they sent me out another punch. No questions asked. I had no receipt. Not only that, they were delayed in getting it to me, so they sent me an extra punch as a thank you gift for them being late getting it to me. How wonderful is that? So I loved EK Success before, or EK Tools before this happened, but I even appreciate them more now because you just don't get customer service like that these days. But now this is actually ready to go onto a card front, so I'm going to show you by grabbing a card. And I've got some little card bases right here. You could put this on a purple, which would be gorgeous. You could make a card front, but I'm not going to actually glue this down right now. But there is a beautiful card that you could give someone. You could stamp in here happy birthday, happy graduation, happy anniversary, because it says celebrate, so it could go for a variety of occasions. So I hope this helped you in learning how to use up some of your little scraps that normally we would probably throw away, but I think they make a beautiful card front. You could run them up and down. You could run them crossways. I mean, there's just 100 ways. If you got bigger pieces, you can punch out hearts and cover a card with hearts. You can do circles and kind of shingle them. There is just endless possibilities in crafting. So I hope I gave y'all some really good ideas on how to use up your scraps today. And I hope you have a wonderful day and happy crafting. And as I always say, be a blessing to someone today. Have a kind word for someone. And may God bless you in everything that you do and say. And may it bring glory to our Lord and Savior. I'm going to close out for now. And I love you all and wish you all the best. Bye-bye.